Side note on Michelle Obama, can we just note how overrated she is? And like all the hype around Michelle Obama, oh, she's going to run for office. And she's just, I don't want to get into the aesthetics of all of it, but the presentation of her podcast is terrible. She's just whining all the time and she's complaining. Right, again, I'm not trying to look at people's looks. That's not what I'm doing. I'm just saying the whole aura of it, to use a Gen Z term, is terrible. It's negative. It's just kind of her lamenting. And then she's obviously, there's problems with her daughters and all that. I don't want to get into that. But we built up on the right. Michelle Obama is going to be the hardest person ever to run against. And her book sold so many copies. And my goodness, you want to talk about the most overrated political hype of a generation? It would go to Michelle Obama.
What happens when Charlie Kirk's Forehead of Fury teams up with Megyn Kelly's Icy Glare? Michelle Obama finds out the hard way. Her well-worn victimhood narrative didn't stand a chance. Kirk and Kelly didn't just challenge her claims. They brought a rhetorical wrecking ball. This wasn't critique. It was a full-blown political exorcism. If you thought Michelle's sob stories were untouchable, think again. Buckle up. This roast hits harder than her podcast ratings ever did.
Other than the wonderful Megyn Kelly in the United States. Now, why is Michelle Obama whinging? She seems to always be whinging. Why are things so hard for her right now?
I know. I mean, because when you're thinking of victims of this awful world, you think of Michelle Obama and how terrible we've all been to her. This woman is a one-woman destitution derby. Every time we check in on her at her podcast, she is feeling sorry for herself.
Let's take a moment to appreciate the magical hardships of Michelle Obama, where living in the White House with a staff larger than some nations is somehow emotionally exhausting. Picture the agony. Personal chefs, chauffeurs, stylists, and even someone tasked with ironing her jeans. A modern-day Rosa Parks. If Rosa Parks had Secret Service, designer gowns, and a multi-million-dollar Netflix deal.
Awful it is to be married with children.
There are just many natural reasons why marriage, infertility, trying to have kids makes things difficult. It's like, I try to tell couples, of course it's hard. Just listen to what I said, right? Like, it's probably, if you're having some issues in your marriage, it's not you, it's the process of marriage. It's just all hard because guess what happens when it all works out right? You know what you end up with? Babies. Little people with their own sense of everything. They mess you up. You love them dearly, but they're a hassle.
What? I mean, there's something wrong with this person.
Somehow, Michelle Obama's entire persona hinges on pretending she never wanted fame. I never asked for the spotlight, she insists, right before launching into a $10 million book tour, gripping a glittering mic like Oprah's long-lost sister. This is the same woman who supposedly loathed politics and dreaded the cameras, yet managed to roll out a podcast, a documentary, and a small army of social media interns posting feel-good captions like, "You matter." How brave.
And Michelle Obama and Sheila Jackson Lee and Ketanji Brown Jackson were affirmative action picks, we would have been called the racist. But now they're coming out and they're saying it for us. They're coming out and they're saying, I'm only here because of affirmative action. Yeah, we know. You do not have the brain processing power to otherwise be taken really seriously. You had to go steal a white person's slot to go be taken somewhat seriously.
Charlie Kirk, channeling the final boss energy of a college Republican club, had the audacity to point out that Michelle Obama's so-called oppression tour was propped up by the same scaffolding as her $11 million Martha's Vineyard mansion. Not exactly giving Harriet Tubman vibes. You know it's getting ridiculous when even Kirk can't keep a straight face as Michelle claims she fears for her kids, while they're guarded by Secret Service and flanked by Gucci prayer candles.
It's amazing. Every word she says about Barack Obama is negative. I can't think of her sitting there just waxing poetic about him, complimenting, he's brilliant, he's a great dad, he was the greatest president, whatever a normal wife of Barack Obama would say. Every time she opines, it's something that reflects poorly on him, how he's insensitive, how he's not a talker, how he doesn't know how to relate to people, he doesn't keep the same schedule as she does, and now we're talking about you can have a bad decade in a marriage?
Megyn Kelly strolled in like sarcasm incarnate, torching Michelle Obama's carefully curated legacy with the finesse of a flamethrower in a yoga class. While Michelle delivered TED Talks about the emotional toll of being asked to smile on stage, Megyn was busy slicing through her victim narrative like a frog in high school biology. except his frog is a podcast and a multi-million-dollar Netflix deal. Who could forget the infamous line about waking up in a house built by slaves, uttered while sipping organic tea in a custom Ralph Lauren gown? The only chains in sight were designer necklaces. But sure, let's act like she was one awkward photo op away from marching on Selma. Meanwhile, Megyn Kelly was somewhere with a metaphorical magnifying glass deadpanning. Let's examine that mansion-sized contradiction, shall we? Michelle's post-White House career has become one long TED Talk, seasoned with Pinterest quotes and misty-eyed interviews. It's like if self-help books and luxury real estate had a baby and named it My Truth. She's retold the same story ad nauseum. Poor Michelle, burdened with the unspeakable trauma of gourmet meals, global applause, and waving from Air Force One. The struggle truly is designer deep.
Women who vote the way their man is going to vote. It happened in this election.
Got it. Republican women are too dumb to make up their own minds about President Trump. They did it because their men told them to. After that ridiculous, remember that ad the Democrats ran with Julia Roberts voice-over, where the women
I remember.
like secretly,
it's our little secret.
Yeah,
Yep,
this is what they think of. This is what they think of Republican women.
That. Of course. I mean, look, first of all, just like the embedded kind of just implied chauvinism that all of our relationships in the Trump world are like we tell our wives exactly what to do. It's like, okay, no, we all have agency, okay? Secondly, I just have to comment on this. She's really lost a step.
Michelle Obama's boldest achievement? Turning salad into a political crusade. Remember the great school lunch overhaul, aka the nationwide revolt against pizza? Michelle stormed into cafeterias like General Broccoli, waging war on flavor in the name of health. Students were left traumatized, staring at colorless trays that looked more like prison meals than lunch. Somewhere, a kid still wakes up in a cold sweat over kale chips. She spun that bland buffet into a platform of moral superiority, as if banning ranch dressing were the civil rights movement of our time. Ketchup was rationed. Salt became contraband. Kids were sneaking and seasoning like they were smuggling gold. And while America's youth cried over unidentifiable meatloaf, Michelle was on stage in a $5,000 designer outfit, delivering keynote speeches about empowerment. Empowering them to what exactly? Cultivate window box kale and suffer in silence? Her lunch legacy wasn't nutritious. It was a masterclass in how to make a vegetable revolution feel like a Broadway monologue.
Obama. I do still worry about my daughters in the world, even though they are somewhat recognizable.
And then she goes, and then you're like, why? What's going to happen to her girls if they're not recognizable? And she goes on a diatribe about the arrests that we're making of illegal immigrants. And that now we all have to live in fear, people of color, because it's a racist Republican Party that's running America now, that people of color, I guess, have to live in fear because we're all a bunch of racists who made her a billionaire and elected her husband president twice. But we're so racist, you see, we could just grab any random person of color in the street and send them off to El Salvador.
You'd think Michelle Obama was saving the Republic one cucumber at a time, the way she spun her veggie campaign into public relations gold. It was less about nutrition and more about manufacturing a personal brand wrapped in kale and moral superiority. Somehow, after taking away Pizza Fridays, she emerged looking like a cross between Mother Teresa and a Whole Foods brand ambassador. Charlie Kirk, never one to miss an opportunity for a snarky monologue, couldn't help but mock the absurdity. This is a woman who turned the lunchroom into a dystopian experiment in beige bean burgers, yet now flows through media coverage as if she single-handedly liberated the vegetable kingdom from oppression. She was hailed as a progressive icon, not for her policies, but for her ability to sell salads with the gravitas of a wartime speech. And the real kicker? We're still expected to believe she's living in the struggle, even as she sips herbal tea on her oceanfront deck, surrounded by throw pillows embroidered with breathe and gratitude. Let's be honest, this isn't oppression. It's luxury wellness therapy with a side of motivational speaking. The only thing greener than her initiatives? Her PR machine.
But what an insult as Michelle Obama is silent on the stealing of women's championships from men, as if there's just like one issue that we have to hyper focus on. And the Democrat Party tried that this last November and it failed. As it turns out that there is a lot more issues than that one that Michelle Obama wants us to hyper fix.
Enter Megyn Kelly, the human embodiment of sarcastic eye roll, who looked like she just watched one too many Michelle Obama interviews and finally snapped. She didn't just criticize. She launched a full-scale roast with the force of Category 5 reality check. Her message? We get it, Michelle. You're strong, empowered, and apparently the only person in history to survive a mild inconvenience. But let's not pretend living in a palace and waving from balconies was some great personal tragedy. Kelly stripped the gloss off Michelle's carefully curated image with surgical precision. Those emotionally charged speeches, which often play like TED Talks soaked in melodrama, were exposed to what they really are: high-budget therapy sessions disguised as empowerment seminars. And the ticket price? Just a few $100 to hear someone lament being adored, photographed, and globally admired. Then came the book tour, which more closely resembled a high-fashion pop concert than a literary event. Michelle took the stage like she was about to drop a platinum album, not promote a memoir. Glittering gowns, flawless hair, cinematic lighting. It had all the humility of a Beyoncé world tour, minus the vocals and with triple the moralizing. She preached resilience while radiating enough wealth to bankroll a village.
Today's daily dose of Michelle Obama, who has been out there trying to promote her terrible podcast that has absolutely no fan following. And she decided everything she says and does is a complaint. Everything. And so she winds up talking to Tina Knowles, also better known as Beyonce's mother, about marriage and divorce, which is Michelle's favorite topic, one of them at least. Number one is how much she hates her time as First Lady. She hated it. And number two, I mean, you could go either way, how racist the country is and how much she can't stand it. And then we're coming in, at least in the top three, is her negative comments about her husband and her.
Through it all, Michelle Obama clings to the illusion of authenticity, like it's a designer handbag she can't quite part with. She wants you to believe she's just a regular woman navigating life's ups and downs, even as she drifts between Aspen ski lodges and Mediterranean yacht retreats. Her Instagram tells the real story. Every photo a perfectly curated moment, all laughter and lattes with just the right golden hour lighting. It's less, I'm just like you, and more, I hired a creative director to make it look like I'm just like you. The contradiction is almost impressive. Michelle has somehow built an empire on relatability, while living a life that's anything but. She's made millions delivering speeches on struggle while boarding private jets, dropped books about overcoming adversity from penthouse suites, and hosted empowerment seminars from behind velvet ropes. All the while, the Obamas rake in speaking fees like it's an Olympic event, warning the rest of us about the dangers of inequality, with almost poetic irony. Michelle will stand at a podium dressed in couture, telling audiences to stay grounded. Grounded? This is a woman with more frequent flyer miles than a Delta executive and a home that looks like Zeus moonlighted as her interior decorator. Grounded? Please. She doesn't need perspective. She needs landing gear.
She can't make fun of herself. This has been obvious for years. She's incapable of laughing at her own expense, which is an absolutely dreadful quality in a person. Like, I don't think I could hire a person who works for me who doesn't have that ability.
Craig will say that I don't let them tease me. See, we have a deal, Barack and I, in our marriage, and it started very early. It's like, I can tease you, but you cannot tease me. You know, so when he does, I was like,
It's not funny.
wait a minute. What's going on here? And he's like, I'm teasing you, right? I was like, none of that.
Because he likes to tease.
Oh, my God, yeah. But when me, Malia, and Sasha, all of us are together, he doesn't stand a chance.
Michelle Obama wants the world to see her as someone who gets it, a woman who's been to the fire, who's just another soul craving to be seen. This, from someone whose face is quite literally plastered on buildings during sold-out speaking tours. Visibility isn't her problem. If anything, she needs a dimmer switch. Yet the myth persists, the legend of the relatable queen who has overcome unspeakable burdens, like too much adoration, too many magazine covers, and the unbearable weight of endless applause. While everyday Americans stress over rent, groceries, and gas prices, Michelle is deciding which of her multi-million-dollar properties she'll retreat to this season. And still, she insists that she understands, that she is us. But she's not. She's a brand, polished, curated, a walking billboard for performative struggle, wrapped in just enough soft-focus lighting to make it seem real. The most astonishing part? People still buy it. And if you dare question her narrative, you're labeled racist, sexist, or just plain jealous, the holy trinity of convenient deflection. But Charlie Kirk and Megyn Kelly weren't buying it. They took a long look at the Michelle Obama empire and asked the one question the media refuses to: why are we still pretending this woman is oppressed?
Ridiculous. And the fact that she would try to parlay this into like I'm so scared, but also super important. But also my daughters are brown, so they're also potential victims because everyone hates brown people. Unless they could identify them as an Obama, in which case we'd be fine because everyone loves us. But as you can watch the wheels calculate in a way that just confirms everything you believed about this.
Every Michelle Obama appearance these days feels like a masterclass in melodrama. She could be sipping champagne on a private jet and still deliver a monologue about how hard it is to be a woman of color in America. Hard. Her struggle playlist includes Beyoncé, Michelin star meals, and private Pilates sessions. This isn't hardship. It's satire wrapped in designer loungewear. But here's the genius of it. Michelle's entire brand is an emotional Trojan horse. Bury the privilege under layers of faux vulnerability. Let the media swoon over her raw honesty and cash in while doing squats on Instagram. It's not empowerment. It's marketing, dress in virtue and filter for relatability. Charlie Kirk didn't miss a beat. He sliced through the act, pointing out how every move is carefully engineered to preserve moral high ground while collecting checks bigger than most CEOs. When they go low, we go high. No, when they go low. She sells another memoir and laughs with Fallon and Couture.
But she's aggrieved. She is immersed in a powerful and inescapable sense of grievance.
Do you think it's an attempt to be relatable?
No. She's angry. She's angry and unhappy. I've watched enough of her over the years, and then with this ridiculous podcast she's trying to launch to see she's a deeply unhappy person.
What's happening with people at that level in podcasts? What's Gavin Newsom doing?
He's running for president. That one makes more sense to me strategically. She should be in her therapist's office. Her brother Craig is not. Oh, he did?
Yeah, what do you think I should do?
And Megyn? She didn't just clap back. She delivered a roast so sharp it could cut to Michelle's throw pillows embroidered with motivational quotes. Megyn called out the selective outrage, the curated grief, and the commodified victimhood. It's not courage, she said. It comes with a glam squad and a PR team. And it's not bravery if it's pre-approved by Penguin Random House. Michelle's side hustle as America's pop culture oracle hasn't gone unnoticed either. Somehow, she inserts herself into every cultural moment, offering commentary that feels generated by an algorithm trained on Oprah monologues and Pinterest mantras. Tragedy strikes? Cue the poetic Instagram caption. Political scandal? Here comes a vague but deeply emotional tweet. It's as if she's running a one-woman Hallmark card empire, only with presidential reach. And yet, she evades criticism with Jedi-level finesse. Challenge her, and you're the villain. Point out the contradictions, and you're punching down. Mention that she's objectively one of the most privileged people on Earth, and suddenly you don't understand the black experience. Let's be honest. At this point, the only black experience Michelle might be in touch with is a curated wine tasting in Napa with artisanal cheese pairings.
The truth is, if you add it all up, even the year, if the odds were you're going to be married to your partner for 50 years and 10 of those years could be bad, you'd
sign up for it.
You'd sign up for it.
You'd sign up for
it.
Right.
And that's really how it works out.
Is it, Michelle? It's not. I've been married for 17 and a half years, and not one was bad. I think she and he married the wrong people.
While Charlie Kirk and Megyn Kelly pulled back the curtain on the myth of Michelle Obama, the rest of the media bowed and curtsied, too enamored with the image to question the substance. They continue to frame her as one protest march away from joining a grassroots resistance, just as soon as she's done with her spa day in Malibu. And perhaps the most comical part, Michelle still tries to present herself as a reluctant leader. Oh, I never want to be in the spotlight, she insists, while holding a microphone, flanked by ghostwriters, on a sold-out book tour for Becoming, followed by The Light We Carry, followed by becoming even richer than you. That's like saying you hate attention, while twerking in Times Square under a disco ball. At this point, her entire persona is a masterclass in branding over substance. Her public remarks are so overpolished, they might as well come with a gloss finish. And her fans? They gobble it all up like organic avocado toast at a minimalist cafe in Brooklyn. She's so real, they whisper, while liking her Vogue covers and setting reminders for her next TED Talk. The truth? Michelle Obama is about as oppressed as a Kardashian on a super yacht. The only thing separating her from the average American is a Netflix deal, a beachfront estate, and a 9-figure bank account. Yet she'll still stare directly into the camera and declare, I see you. I am you. Ma'am, the closest you come to our struggle is probably a Zoom call glitch. Kirk and Kelly didn't need to shout. They simply held up the mirror, and in that reflection stood not a crusader, but a media manufacturer messiah draped in couture, preaching struggle from a penthouse.